my name is Jackie Ibrahimov, and it is my very great pleasure to talk to you about my favorite subject in the entire world, Rococo art, the most underappreciated art style in history. But before I talk about all the reasons why I love Rococo, I want to explore why almost every artist, art critic, museum industry professional, and student is disgusted by that. I remember the day in AP European history when this gorgeous beauty came up on the screen. When I saw Fragonard's The Swing, I was in an emotional state akin to religious ecstasy, while my apparently confused classmates began to boo at Fragonard. The question, what went wrong, even came up in the conversation, especially when comparing it to the Baroque of Louis XIV at Versailles, which we had just finished learning about. Right now, in AP Art History class, it is a thing to make fun of Rococo in my presence because they know how it makes me so deeply sad. And it is because of that sadness that I have to go through some art therapy with you right now. I have to find catharsis in something, so I have made a list of some of the most insulting elements of Rococo art. Most of this is cited from conversations I have had with classmates of mine. So first, let's start with the profusion of pastels. When you look at Rococo art, you have to go through steps. It's very dense, although it looks just pathetic. Once the profusion of pastel fog has cleared away, then you start to see details, and this is where people start to get a little bit confused. People might notice the rosy buttocks, the chubby buttocks, the plump cherub buttocks is in the air. I spoke to a friend of mine, this is what she told me yesterday. And then I didn't put this on the list, but there are also all the powdered hair, and the ladies with the gold trim on their dresses, and the men with the rouge on their faces. But in architecture, it's also very elaborate. Well, they couldn't plaster pastel over the walls. Even that's too gaudy for these people. So what they did is they had gold gilding everywhere, and then they had swirls. Gold swirls, nothing's better than that. Here's an example of architecture, and swirls. And now here's a representation of the jumbled Rococo mess society has created for itself. People can't get past the pastels and the swirls and the gilding, and so they miss out on the beautiful essence of Rococo art. At the heart of Rococo is this wonderful fusion of innocence, pastel innocence, and intelligence. And this is best exemplified by the woman of this time period. Women had an unprecedented influence on art during the Rococo period, especially this lady, Madame de Pompadour. She was the one that commissioned the majority of artworks, especially by François Boucher, my art love. And she, therefore, was able to dictate what was going to go inside of the artwork. Oftentimes, this came out as frilly. I mean, look at that dress. It is flowers just thrown on there. I bet they plastered glue first and then flowers. Fling it everywhere. And people don't see anything else. But if you look at the woman, the actual woman and her mind, she was incredibly intelligent. The people of Rococo society had to live up to really high standards because if they faltered one step, people would fling them out of society. These women would spend their days reading books on a variety of subjects. They would not only play instruments, but they would become great at them, so that if ever they went to their salons, which they hosted, they could make people envy them. These women also, Madame de Pompadour, she also designed her own pendants. And she loved architecture. If you look at paintings, you'll oftentimes see a lot of paperwork, and they'll have her own designs, which she then paid artists to create for her. So what I've learned from Rococo art is that you don't have to be completely serious in order to be smart and in order to be good and succeed in life. You can have innocence. You can surround yourself with pastels and plump cherub buttocks and still go home and work incredibly hard. Sometimes the people that seem the most frilly and frou-frou and the ones that they just look naturally amazing are the ones that go home and work the hardest. But people never see that, and so they get afraid, and so they hate Rococo. So I hope that now when you go out into the world, you can change people's views. People don't like Rococo. It's a big part of our society nowadays, and I hope that maybe we can change that and put Rococo up on a pedestal. Thank you.